Hey, when are you coming back to the office? Hello everyone, Imtiaz here from JobReadyProgrammer.com, where we teach thousands of students how to code and get jobs in software development. This video is about whether or not you'll be working from home for the rest of your life. I sent out a survey a couple of weeks ago and many of you filled it out, so thank you. I've got hundreds of responses. It was a survey on YouTube as well as on Twitter, and majority of you think that we will be working from home for the rest of our lives. That's interesting. Now, I'm sure most of my viewers are tech or software developers. If you've been taking my software development courses, make sure to check them out. But this will apply to many other industries as well. If you go to the different websites like Indeed.com and there's Stack Overflow, jobs portal, you'll see that there's a lot more job titles with the word remote in it, especially in software development. Now, there's other industries that have been affected, and they are all, a lot of these people that thought that they would never need to work from home are actually working from home now. They've made the arrangements, and the tools are available for people to work remotely, such as monitoring tools. Your employer can monitor your progress, and then Zoom meetings and so on. If you look at interviews that are being done on YouTube, you can notice that a lot of them are remote. It's kind of uncommon to see a couple of people in the same room engaging in a conversation. It's usually now just Zoom. So is this going to be the future? And in my opinion, the answer is yes, it will be. There's a couple of reasons, and I'll go over those reasons why. And the reasons are not just because of the sickness that's taking over the globe now. Hopefully that's a temporary thing and we're over it this year or the next, knock on wood, have my fingers crossed. But we were actually heading into this remote work culture anyway, just because of the way technology advances and how we as humans are evolving into more distant creatures. You see, technology allows for divergence. It does not allow for convergence. This whole concept of a lot of employees coming into a building, this skyscraper concept, this big building, everyone's coming into work. That's actually a very industrial concept. We needed a bunch of buildings and industry at that time, and that's why we have massive buildings in some of the biggest cities in the world. But now, because of technology, this divergence is happening, and we've been seeing this ever since the smartphone was invented back in 08 or 07, I don't know, the first iPhone. Ever since then, we've really changed. I'm sure you're familiar with the picture where it's been going around for many years now, where there's a family of four, there's two kids, a mom and a dad, and the mom is on the phone, the dad's on the phone, the kids are all on the phone, and then there's also grandma and grandpa that come by and they're like, what's everybody doing? They're all on their phone, they don't want to talk to us. So this is a reality that's happening, and that's supposed to be a joke, but it's actually a reality, that meme. I think it boils down to the idea that technology does make life easier. And so since most humans are lazy by nature, we kind of default to the easier way out. Sometimes a difficult conversation is easier to handle in a text versus face-to-face, because you won't have to see the other person's immediate reaction there. You have a device in the middle of the two of you that filters, and unfortunately many relationships have been broken through text saying, so it's actually, there's pros and cons to everything, and this is just one of those things. It's a convenience, but it's also an inconvenience in many regards. So technology was already separating us as human beings, and we were heading into this remote culture anyway. Obviously, the sickness that happened just sort of expedited that and forced many companies into making major investments into infrastructure that allows for a more remote work culture. And so they've already made those investments, and employees have mostly already made these adjustments into their work life. And so it's very hard to just change things and go back to normal. It's just going to be a new normal from now on, okay? So that's one thing. Another thing is, obviously I talked about how humans sort of evolve, their social abilities change over time. There's trends that come and go, and slang that change every 10 years. There's new slang words, and the way people communicate, the way people dress, the music that they listen to, it changes pretty much every decade. And so if this remote work or this whole socially distant culture stays for another couple of years, then we've got kids going to school using iPads for that much longer, and they're going to be groomed in a much more distant, socially distant way. And so that is just part of the way we will evolve, and that might just be the future. The expense of travel has gone down for various companies. Like if you had a major meeting and you had to send a couple of your employees over to China or to Japan, now that is no longer an expense. You could just have those conferences through Zoom. And now there's software like Clubhouse that's being used. And so these trends form, and they actually make permanent changes in the way we conduct ourselves and the way businesses run around the world. So don't be surprised if you're working from home going forward for the rest of your life, especially if you're a software developer. Now, some people make the argument that, oh, it's not as productive. You need to have a face-to-face interaction for certain things. And it's true, certain industries require face-to-face. And of course, if it's a physical job, you're going to have to go there, right? But for especially white-collar jobs, those are significantly affected by this, and going forward they will have to adopt this new norm of remote work culture. Software developers, especially some of the biggest open source software that's being used by Fortune 500 companies, is actually built through a bunch of developers that never physically interacted. They were just sending emails. Some of the biggest software in the world right now, for example, Bitcoin, they weren't all sitting in the same room. One was sitting in Japan or Jamaica or something, and one was in UK, and others were in America. And so it's like, and they were able to collaborate because technology facilitated that. So don't be surprised if you're still working from home after this sickness it has left us, hopefully soon. All right, so I'm going to wrap up this video. I'd like to thank you for watching. Make sure to click the like button. It really helps. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you for watching.